Here we go again, Junior.
We're off on the road to Morocco. This taxi is tough on the spine.
Beats the bus, huh, Junior?
Beats me. Where we're going, why we're going, how can we be sure?
What are your favourite films of all time? What are the films that have defined you as a film lover? This is what I'd like to talk today in My Love of Movies. Welcome to Matt's Movie Reviews. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, give us a little click on the link below, and please leave me your comments and any of the films that you feel that may have influenced you as a child. Growing up as a kid in the 70s and 80s, I feel as if I had a great education in films and all things TV. For me, it all started with Superman the movie. This is one of the few films I remember really influencing me from a young age. Of course, I'd grown up with Star Wars and absolutely loved that too, but Superman the movie was the film that really defined me as a film lover.
Easy, miss. I've got you.
You've got me! Who's got you?
We're sitting on top of the story of the century here.
Who are you?
A friend.
Moving on through there, I just developed a great love of film. Saturday was movie day for me, and if I wasn't going to the cinema to see the local releases, I'd be watching as much as I could on TV. Now, during my childhood, there were only 3 channels on the TV, and generally you kind of had to watch what you were given, but generally I'd go towards movies. Saturday afternoons would be prime movie day for me, and like I said previously, I'd either be at the cinema watching the new releases, or I'd be watching things on BBC Two. Because content was expensive to produce in those days, you found that a lot of things were repeated from many a bygone era, from the 30s and the 40s. So things like the old serials such as Flash Gordon or King of the Rocket Men, which were old serials which were shown at the cinema and were the basis of things like Star Wars and Indiana Jones. It didn't really matter what genre of film it was as well. I just would take it all in. I'd watch things like Basil Rathbone's Sherlock Holmes. I'd also watch the old King Kong. I'd watch all the Bing Crosby and Bob Hope road movies. I'd also see things like the old musicals, Doris Day films, Dean Martin, and even Jerry Lewis's films. The old Ealing comedies that were made in the UK that starred Norman Wisdom, and right through to Laurel and Hardy.
Shine on, harvest moon, up in the sky. I ain't had no loving since January, April, June or July.
Clash of the Titans was released back in 1981, and it highlighted to me the amazing work by the fabulous Ray Harryhausen, whose stop motion photography had been used for years in fantasy films. Notably, I'd now seen him in things like The Golden Voyage of Sinbad and Sinbad and the Eye and the Tiger. These are the type of films that are generally shown every Christmas or on bank holidays. Sinbad and the Golden Voyage always confused me because Tom Baker was in it and he was currently Doctor Who when I was a kid. But my favourite of the Sinbad films was Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, which funnily enough starred Patrick Troughton, another Doctor from the second Doctor Who's period. And I had a very well worn Betamax copy of this that I recorded off the TV and I watched over and over again. An amazing film, and probably one of those that has been forgotten over the years.
Zenobia! She's gone! Stand back! Get back!
And how could we forget Flash Gordon?
Go, Flash, go!
Or bank holidays without Flash Gordon anymore. A real disco film from the disco era. Speaking of which, another film that I really loved when I was a kid was Saturday Night Fever. Believe it or not, I went to see this film when I was very young because they'd cut together a friendly, child-friendly version of it because it was so popular. It wasn't until later in life that I actually seen the real version. I was quite shocked the first time I seen it. And growing up watching the Rocky films, by 1985 we got the big Rocky IV.
I must break you.
Rocky IV.
Although I do believe that I grew up in a period of what I call golden cinema, the time between the end of the 70s and the 80s, where there was a great influx of sci-fi movies and fantasy movies, mainly based on the success of Star Wars, but this led me to a real passion and a real love for sci-fi. Doesn't mean that I just love sci-fi movies, far from it. I love films of all genres, but I was particularly drawn to this because these were the films that were available to me as a kid. And it was a real golden time of cinema. I do believe that this is why we are experiencing such a great influx of superhero and sci-fi films now. In fact, probably a little bit too many to be truthful. But I do believe that my childhood gave me the real insight into films of a particular generation. Because I was able to watch old stuff on the TV, I learnt an appreciation of the classic Hollywood. Also then became the influx of the video library, where video libraries was being set up in local laundrettes or, down the shops. You could go and pick a film up, and that gave me a great love again of films I didn't discover in the cinema, that I didn't see on TV. Films that were hidden gems, like Space Hunter in 3D. I didn't see it when it came out in the cinema. It's something I discovered, and this led to a different area of my life where I started watching films on video and going down there and trying to discover old favourites and these low budget classics, etc. So again, because of the era that I grew up in the late 70s, in the 80s, this information was coming to me via these sources, which was a really interesting time. So my question to you guys out there is, what are the films that influenced you for your passion of film? Is there a particular film that really defines you as a moviegoer? Once again, thanks for watching. Please give me a little subscribe and give me some comments and let me know your favourite films of all time and if anything influenced you to become a film fan. Thanks for watching.
Buried alive. Buried alive.
Come!